I've lost the books. I don't know where they are. Friends, welcome back to the channel. It's a coloring space tour. I know you guys have waited a long time to see my coloring space and how I organize things. So today we're going to do just that. Welcome to my tiny little corner in my back bedroom, and huge welcome to my support crew today, which is Remy and her dinosaur. Hello, Remy. She's very excited. So if you see tail thumping, or if you hear tail thumping, it's Remy. So yes, this is my very small corner, and we're going to go through everything. I am holding my phone, so I will try and keep everything super steady. We're going to focus on the pencils for the first little bit of the video, because I get a lot of questions about this one. So we're not going to focus on the dead plants and my inability to grow things. We're going to focus on the pencils. So as you guys know, I mix all my pencil brands when I color, and I do so when I store them as well. And as you can see, they are all in color order with a few exceptions, so we will go through that. So on a macro level, at the very top here, we've got my soft core pencils, and then in the middle, we've got hardcore pencils. So I would say these two tiers are my main workhorses. And then I've got my other pencils in the pencil cases down below here, which I still use, but they're probably, yeah, they're not my main workhorses. They kind of don't belong in these two tiers here, apart from that floral case right there, but we'll go through that in a sec. So the brands that I have in here are in the top tier, that is the Derwent Drawing, the Derwent Color Soft. I think there's like one Pro Color pencil. There is Holbein's, and then at the bottom I store the Polychromos and the Caran d'Ache Pablos together. Now you may be thinking, yes, but Caran d'Ache Pablo is a soft pencil. Yes, it is. However, I find that the Pablos actually have very similar characteristics to the Poly, so I put them in with those. Even though they have a similar softness to the wax-based pencils, I find that they don't wear down as quickly. So I put them in here. Don't ask me why, this is just what works for my brain. As you can see, they are all grouped by color. So at the back here, I've got pinks and reds, oranges, yellows, and in the greens, I have them separated out between just your standard greens, your olive greens, and muted pale greens. I've got some teals, blues, purples, gray, all the black and whites and the metallics, browns, and then I have a whole bucket dedicated to my skin tone colors, and I often throw these browns in there too, so they kind of like work together. I do also have at the back in the middle of the screen, you'll see there's a tub of mixed colors. That is my Albert Duras. Those are my watercolor pencils. I will put those in a case once I have enough of them. I just have them separated for now, so yeah, I don't necessarily want to put my watercolor pencils in with the dry pencils, because they're a different pencil, so I'm not going to do that. The same with my Derwent Inktense as well. They live in here. Yes, because they are water soluble medium, so I like to have those separately, and I just organize those. So I do use the Derwent Inktense and the Albert Duras together. I could always put the Albert Duras and the Derwent Inktense in its own folder, but yeah, I don't do that at the minute. Primarily, I don't have the Derwent Inktense in their cups either, because they're a little bit hard to tell, whereas with all of this, you can kind of easily see what's what, but it's really hard to tell the difference between a pink and an orange and a yellow sometimes with the Derwent Inktense. So I tend to keep those separate. And I do it this way, number one, because it's how my brain works, and I'll talk about that more in a second. But number two, every pencil set has its own characteristics. It has its own strengths, and it also has its own weaknesses. And I find that for me, if I put them all together, then I'm going to fill in all of those gaps, and I don't have to worry about having to figure out, okay, like this set is really weak on the greens. How am I going to combat that? This set is really weak on the reds, etc., etc. I can just put them all together, and I like to use the different characteristics as well. It's kind of like if you know, most of the time, if I'm going to a party, I would like there to be a whole lot of different personalities and characters there, because that's going to make for a very fun party. And then based on the mood that I'm in, I can depend on what kind of person I want to talk to. Maybe I could be in a very introverted mood for that night, and I'll want to hang out with the quiet people. And there might be other times where I am just an absolute riot of energy and I want to hang out with the really loud people. So this means that I get to just pick and choose however I like. And it also means for me that I have to make less decisions about like which set do I use for what type of paper, etc. It's all in and it all just happens at once. So for example, I like to use my wax-based pencils for skin tones, and I like to use wax-based pencils as well for deep shadows, a lot of basing with leaves, etc., and also for finishing highlights as well. And I really like to use hardcore pencils for their vibrancy and for detail work and for the mid-tones. Now, I really enjoy using the Caran d'Ache Pablos for backgrounds. They're so soft. They're just really good. If I were to use the polys, I'd probably have to blunt the pencil a little bit so that I didn't get this harsh line. But that's just how my colouring is at the minute. Oh, and I do have another... Let me just try and swap hands here. I do have some interesting pencils at the back. This is another tin that's on its own. This is the Derwent Graphy tint. It's graphite with a bit of tint, as the name implies, and they're water soluble. So I've collected 2 of these, but I wouldn't actually mind purchasing the whole set because this will be really fun in like a Kirby situation. If I can just, it's not going to focus. Anyway, that is the color Shadow. So they kind of belong in the back in their own little thing. I can pull it out. This is just like an old Frank Green cup that I used when I used to buy coffees at work and stuff, which I, you know, just make it at home now. So the good thing about this as well is they're all in jars and cups that I don't use. So I've got these, what have we got? Best of the bone broth jars, beef tallow. The good thing about these jars is because we go through a jar of beef tallow once a fortnight. So every fortnight I get a new jar. The only issue with them is they're quite high. So when you chew down your pencils, you have to fish for them. I've got to figure out a solution for that, which I will do. But yes, I have not paid a cent for any of these things. I think this black one here was from Officeworks for like $2, but the rest is just odds and ends that I've had at home. So I haven't had to spend any money. I did buy this trolley from Kmart, and it is like, it took me 3 hours to put it together, and it is bent as, but it'll do for now. So at the bottom tier, what have I got? So I've got the Derwent Intense. I always get those wrong. Derwent Intense in there. Castle Art Harmonious in there. This case has Prismacolor and Ohuhu, and this case has Artex. What else does it have? Wuma, and there's something else in there too. I can't remember. Maybe this is Artex and Wuma. So again, I do still use these. They're just not my main workhorses, so I don't put them in with these, because if I did, this would be way over full, and I don't want that because that'll be too hard to actually decide what to color. Now, in terms of deciding what to color and what pencils to use, I will make a video on that, but I do use swatch charts, and those swatch charts belong over here. You may have seen this in my last little mini haul video, but I have this purple one here is for all the pencils. And this pink one here, that's not pink, that is aqua. This aqua one is for all the other mediums. So let me just pull it out real quick and I'll just show you what they look like. So I've got them all tabbed. So polychromos, that's all there. And then I just do a little dot next to it when I've got the Albrecht Dürer equivalent, because they're all the same. I've got the same with Prismacolor. So I've got some Derwent ones. So it's the Derwent Drawing. That's the Graphy Tint, Color Soft, the Inktense, and then I've got the Holbeins as well. I mean, yeah, there's more in there, but I refer to these, but I will go more into that in another video because I do want to take a bit of time to discuss the process. And today we are looking at coloring things. Okay, back to the pencils. So if you are thinking of doing this, if you are thinking of mixing your pencil brands, or even if you have one brand, say if you have a really big set, maybe you have the Prismacolors or the Holbeins, or even, what's another set that's massive, like the Kaluas or the Black Widows or something like that, and if storing them in a case doesn't really work for your brain, like it doesn't for me, then you might like to try this. So there's multiple ways you can do this. So as you can see here, I've got them by color order, and you can even just grab yourself a color wheel. You could start with red and then you could move to, you can have an orange one, you go for a yellow one. So you could pretty much just follow what we've got here. And then when your containers get too full, you could break them up in between, like light blue or dark blue, light green, dark green, cool green, warm green, etc. So I've pretty much just done that, bar a few exceptions with the skin tones because I do a lot of portraits, and also separating my watercolor pencils as well, and even the Graphitint, which is watercolor, water soluble too. So for example, you could actually, if you're someone that colors a lot of flowers, you could separate them into flower colors. If you color a lot of ocean pages, you could separate your colors into ocean themes. There's really no limit to this. And the good thing about this is that you can change it at any time. So I had everything in pencil cases like that, and I used to color per brand. And I wanted to try this way for a long time because I had seen a lot of portrait artists and, you know, just other pencil artists do this whenever I'd watch their videos. And I was like, oh, that looks really good. I can really see the colors really well. And it just makes sense for my brain. But I was so scared to do it because I thought, well, what if I don't like it? And I kind of said to myself, yeah, but you can just put them back. Like, it takes 2 seconds to pull them all out and arrange them. Well, maybe like 10, 15 minutes. It'll take the same amount of time to put them back. So you could try this and give yourself maybe a week or a month just to see if you like it. And if you don't like it, just put it back to the way it was. You'll never know until you try. So the reason that I swapped is because I was having a really hard time picking and choosing my colors when they're all in folders. And because when they're in folders in their pencil cases, I can't see them. And I'm a very highly visual person. I need to have a visual cue straight away so that I can process it and understand what I'm looking at. As soon as I put them in their cups like this, I could just immediately see all the options. And I was like, oh, this is so much better. So it makes so much more sense to me in my brain. So for example, the best way I can put it as looking at this is like I'm looking at a map and all the rows are connected and I know exactly where I need to go. Whereas if I have them in brand order in their pencil cases, I feel like I'm looking at a map and nothing's connected and the map's in another language. I just can't understand it. And if we quickly look up here to my novels, you can see that I've got it in a loose color order as well. And I've had this like that for years. I used to have triple the amount of books, but I've got rid of some to make way for all my coloring stuff. So we'll go through all of that in a second. But to me and the way my brain is, I need to have everything spaced out in color. And the way that I choose colors, this just supports that too. So already I'm looking at this and I can already see fun combinations to try. And as you guys know, I love to throw all different sorts of color into one object. And for example, with these greens, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking all the fun leaves that we could create. We could have, like, you could do these two and then you could throw in some lighter green in there. The same with all these like purples as well. It just gives me so many visual options. Also with my 2 flesh tones here as well, putting them all together just makes any combination seem possible. I really couldn't see beyond a couple of shades of flesh tone, but now that I've got everything here, so I've got like dark browns, oranges, peaches, there's some beiges in there, pinks, reddy oranges, all of that. I can come up with any color combination I want. So I don't just color with like my flesh tone. I will try and do as many variants as I can, and this really helps. And I've actually got a couple of the Holbein metallics in here because they're actually really great, and that I'm kind of looking forward to experimenting with those in skin tones. As you would know as well, I don't just stick to the, usual colors. I will throw in some purples and things like that too. I'll throw in some green for shadows, etc., etc. This also removes the necessity, not a necessity, but the perceived necessity of having to own full sets. So don't get me wrong, I love a full set. Oh, they make my heart sing, but I don't feel compelled to have a full set. So I think, for example, I've got the Derwent Colour Softs, I've only got the 36 set that's split up there. This also helps too if you're deciding whether or not you like a set. You could just buy 5 pencils and throw them in with your mix and see how they interact with each other, see how they work. For me personally, this just solves a whole lot of issues for me. I know this isn't everyone's cup of tea. I know that a whole bunch of you are probably looking at this thinking that is so chaotic, I can't deal. Fair enough. This has also been something that has changed as well. So I used to not separate them by the pencil characteristics. I used to just have them all in together. However, I have found as well, since storing them this way, I've got to know the characteristics of my pencils really well, and I know exactly what I want to use them for. I can look at a coloring page and 9 times out of 10, I'll know exactly what types of pencils I want to use for what. This is very helpful if you do own multiple brands and you're not quite sure why color this one and why not that one, etc. You'll begin to learn how different they are and how you can actually use them together. So you can use oil and wax together. You can use hardcore and softcore, etc. I think, like I was saying before, I use my wax pencils for flesh tones mainly, and then wax pencils if I want to do a lot of blending, big backgrounds, etc. The Pablos work really well for soft backgrounds, especially if you want to do like a bokeh effect with lots of colors. And the polychromos are great for fine detail work, and they're great for midtones, etc. So learning about all of their characteristics and how you can work them together. The other thing that I found when I was just coloring with one brand is I would favor one brand and I would have all these other brands, but I just wouldn't use them. And I felt like I was wasting them. So this way I'm using everything at once, which is nice. And I've just spotted, oh no, is that, yeah. And I've just spotted here that there's the Pablos in with the Holbeins, but then I've remembered that I just have one jar for all the black and the whites and the metallics and the blender pencils and stuff like that. At the minute, if there's anything that is too small, I have this little ramekin right here that I put them in. See how tiny they're getting? And I need to come up with another solution because I know that I know that this is going to get quite full. So I'll have to figure something out. I don't know yet. So that's probably a downside of this. But if we just look closer, for example, let's pull out the yellows, and I just want to show you what's actually in the yellows, because not everything is yellow, is it? So I'm on my floorboards here. Excuse the creakiness. These are our houses on stumps, so the floorboards do creak. So in here I've got all different types of yellows. I've got your real deep orange yellows, and then we've got some creamier ones as well. So if you want to, you could separate those out between the different like types of yellow if you want to, but I just have all the yellows together. So this is, yeah, like cream, your eggshells, your light ochres, etc. There's a neon yellow in there too. So all of those sit together. The other good thing about all of this is if you do own multiple brands and if you decide to mix them, you will soon be able to see any duplicates or gaps that you have. The first thing I noticed when I put all my pencils together is that I had 50 pencils of the exact same shade of yellow, and I thought, oh, what a waste. So it discouraged me from going out and buying more single yellows. If I happen to have them in like full sets that I buy, that's fine. But yeah, it helped me just to see at a glance what I have. And like I said, I'm extremely visual. I need visual cues. So if I pop those back, and after a while, so you might be thinking too, yeah, but how do you find everything? After a while, you just know where they are. I mean, the greys are going to be in one spot. The muted greens are going to be in one spot. I know that. The only thing that gets a bit thingy is the flesh tones, because sometimes I might put a flesh tone in with brown or pink or orange or something that can get a little bit thingy, but it really doesn't bother me because the payoff for me is just massive for being able to colour like I do now. Let's just look at these teals here too. And I'll just go into this. So this is like these are your teals, your turquoises, and like the really blue greens. So I use them a lot, so I separate them out. You can really just do this in a way that just makes sense to your brain. Like you don't have to do it this way, but I'm just showing you like a little bit of detail of what's in there, I suppose. So you could look at it on a micro kind of level. With my pinks and reds, I put them all together because if we look at a color wheel, let's look at this one. Look at red. Pink is red. And we have our violet reds and stuff, but pink is red. So to me, they're the same. And if I'm coloring something pink and I want some shadows, I'm either going to be using, not always, because I do like to mix it up, but I'm going to be using dark red or browns. But yeah, so I just put all the pinks and reds together, and I thought it'd be confusing, but it's actually not. It's really good. And yes, with the back to the flesh tones as well, so I do have quite a lot of darker pencils thrown throughout this, obviously. And I kind of just pick those. It depends on the shade. If it's a more of a reddy brown, then they'll go in there. But if it's more of like a yellow brown, they'll sit in here. But like I said, I do interchange those all the time. So that is how I do my pencils. So just to recap, if you're wanting to give this a crack, you could even try this if you just have one brand. You could try it. Grab yourself some jars. Grab yourself any odd cups that you've got lying around the house, like for example, sacrilege, but I use the Country Road cups for it because I actually don't drink out of these. They're too big. They're good soup mugs, but they're really just, I don't know. At the minute, I've got a cup of tea going. What are we drinking? Peppermint and licorice today. I just like a smaller cup. So yeah, it looks like cat wee, doesn't it? It's just yeah. So way too big, so I've rehomed them. Even if there's cups that don't fit my aesthetic for my kitchen, which yes, does happen, I put them out in here, or if there's mugs that are just not functional anymore, they go in here. You get the gist. So again, you don't have to spend a whole lot of money. And if you're, like I said at the start by ordering it, color wheel order. Go with your red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and violet. See how you go. If you need to split it up, split it up. And as well, you could even do this by subject matter. One thing that I am really thinking of trying, and it probably won't be yet, and I don't know if my brain's going to work this way, but if you are someone that colors by value, not by color combination, and when I say value, I mean, for example, this black is a very dark value, this white is a very light value, everything else in between is a mid-tone, and it's kind of varies on a scale. So if you are someone that prefers to have all your dark colors together and your mid-tones together and your white and your lighter colors together, you could do that. So I'm almost thinking of doing it that way because I tend to color by value more because I'm very interested in all the different colors that I can mix together. I'm almost considering doing that, but I think that might be a step too far for where my brain is at right now. So that is my pencils. Remy has decided to scooch herself in on the pillows. Oh my gosh, Posse, you're so cute. As for the rest of it, I'm just gonna zoom out. So, as you can see, this is a corner of my back bedroom. This is it. I don't color in here. I'll take you out to where I color in a minute, but let's focus on the coloring books next. So on this bedside table marketplace find, I have all my main coloring books that I have for 2026. They're my focus books. So I separate those from my other coloring books just so it's visually easier to see, okay, what are my main, workhorses? What are my main focus books? And what are the other ones that I do get to, but I don't do them every single month? And also separating them as well just keeps them off the shelves because they are really heavy. Books are really heavy, as we know. And I don't like to have too much on here. Even though, so these are galvanized pipe and they are drilled into the stud with these very heavy planks of wood. These are messmate planks. They've got this really nice, you probably can't see it here, but they've got this really nice black grain that runs through them. Our whole bed frame is made out of them. Our ensuite is made out of them, all of that. But we had leftover ones or something, so we've just used them. So this is very, very sturdy, but even still, I don't like to have all the weight. I'm trying to like evenly distribute the weight if I can. So I don't have much hanging over on that side, as you can see, because there's no, like it's further away from the stud. So I try and just have it, yeah. So over here we have, so who are my main ones? Layla Dooley, Hannah Carlson, Maria Trolle, Christine Karen, Emily Liederhall Oberg, and Kirby Roseanne's Fragile World are my main books for this year. And then all my other ones up here, so I've got more Kirby, Millie, I've got Enigma, I forget who that, it's Lolita someone, I can't remember, Emma Peters, Brynda, Johanna Basford's, I've got all of Johanna's bar Inklings and Lost Ocean, and I've got one of Mel Pimeni's, Ossibelco, Luli Mayo, I forget who this is, it's a really nice book, I just forget, Arita Berman, Dana Fox, and a couple of other fold-out ones. Actually, low-key wondering, with Rita Berman, I have coloured a few in this, but see that colouring style on the front cover? That's very similar to how I do things these days. I'm almost wondering if Rita should be someone that I focus on in future, maybe for 2027. I kind of haven't gone too much down the Rita path at the minute, just because she's so popular everywhere. I don't know. I just haven't really jumped on the bandwagon because everyone's jumping on the bandwagon, and I kind of like to be a little bit different if I can. So, but if you guys are very interested in Rita, let me know now because I can start collecting the books over time as well. So, and I've got bookends too because I hate the way, you know, when you try and like stand all your books up, or you've got to pull some out for all your completed pages videos and they just go funk, they just like fall over. Yeah, so I got some bookshelves the other day and they're so handy. So yes, these are all my books. So if there are any other artists you guys would recommend, let me know. I have learned that there are a whole bunch of these gorgeous European illustrators that I have not yet discovered. So I am delving into the world of that. I've pretty much completed the whole collection for Hannah Carlson, apart from Halloween. Same with Maria. I think there's one or two books that I don't have of hers. I don't have the new library one. So let's go up over here. This is all my gel pens and whatnot, all lovely and labeled. So these tubs are just from, these are Kmart tubs. They're for the fridge. And I'm like, nay, they are not for the fridge. They are perfect for the pens. So what have we got? Sakura Jelly Roll, Pentel, Signo, Shuttle Art, I just haven't labelled that yet. Tooly Art, Posca, oh, but not, that needs to be flat. Posca, all the JOURALSAY bits and bobs that go in that, and there's some other odds and ends that go in here, and a hoo-hoo as well. So they're very handy. Again, I need to have everything visual, and like with the Tooly Art, I can see the numbers straight away, so I can just go in and grab that. And the Sakuras as well, I can, and all of them, I can generally see every colour is, so you can just fish for it and pull it out. So I like having everything labelled like that. I do have a spare container ready to go, and this thing is just from Kmart. It's still got its tag on as well. These are all my odds and ends pencils. I'll get those out in a sec. Bookmarks, and this is my pastel set of Derwents. I just don't have a pencil case for it yet, so hence why it's still sitting in its tin. Let me just open this up. Okay, me and Dinosaur have that room. Take your dinosaur. Take your dinosaur. Good girl. In this tin are all the odds and ends. So these are all my Prismacolors that either have been stuck together or I need to go on wooden dowels, etc. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. And as you can see, there's a lot of green. And you wonder what green it is. I have no idea. Yes, it's the Prussian green. Oh, here's another one. They're everywhere. Prussian greens throughout. So yes, that's just what's in there. So I keep all my tins as well because I repurpose them for things. So over here is all my tins. I'll save those, and I've got some other colouring books as well that I don't want to get rid of just yet, but I don't want them in my main pile. So there's like alternate editions of Johanna Basford's. There's my practice books. There's a whole bunch of stuff in there, but yeah, I'll just keep those there for now. Okay, so that's that. That's the tins over there. Again, like I was saying, I do the pastel pencils, I will put them in a pencil case. So yeah, I'm just kind of waiting until I've got funds to actually purchase more pencil cases for those. I won't put the pastels out with the rest because they're different than your standard pencils. Okay, I've got watercolor paper, my bingo sheet. It just kind of sits at the top because I cross it off all the time. Printer, paper, butcher paper, notebooks, acrylic marker paper, alcohol marker paper, plastic sheets for alcohol marker colouring, the works. So that all sits in there, like all my scraps as well. So it's just a nice little cubby hole for it. Over here are all my acrylic markers, well, most of them anyway. I'll show you the rest in a minute. So I've got the Artex sets. It's an Artex one. That's an Ohuhu Nahuku, and they're really good. Watercolor paint, some of them. My diamond painting drills. So this is where I put the drills after I've done the actual kit. They just store in there. And if I pull them out, they're just in DMC order there. So I'm working on a kit at the minute that has like over 90 colors. So I'll probably fill that. That's just from Amazon to fake plant. Okay, the rest of this shelf before we move along. As we can see, I like my books, and like I said earlier, I have them in loose color order. It's a little bit hard to put books in color order sometimes because you can see on these middle ones here, like they're different colors. So I have a lot of, I love my Philippa Gregory, Ken Follett, as you can see. I like my contemporary novels too. I've got a whole bunch of Christian stuff there. Like, oh, there's my Winnie the Pooh book up there too from when I was a kid. So this bookshelf used to be absolutely full of all novels, but I got rid of a whole stack when I started colouring as well. And over time too. It was just, the shelf was too overloaded, and there was a whole bunch of books that I'd read once and wasn't too crash hot on them. And yeah, just wanted to get rid of those. So yes. Okay, let's move down to here. So obviously we've gone through these books. Over here I've got my alcohol markers, the Ohuhu ones. I do have some Artex ones, but I need more of these containers, these shelves, these racks that they sit in. These racks are really expensive. I just don't have the money to be able to purchase them at the minute, and honestly, they're not a priority. I would prefer to spend my budget on like pencil replacements and things like that, and books and whatever I need to first before I start getting more of this, because I only use alcohol markers like once a month or something. In here we've got all my brushes, watercolor brushes, so these big ones are the Fumui ones. Then I've got the silicone brushes, which I use a lot for my Pearl X pigment mixing and what do you call it? The masking fluid and things like that. And all my brush pens. And then I've got these here too, these brushes as well, these ink brushes, which you can actually use for Neocolor too. Yeah. So these Ohuhu sets are, that's the pastel set, one of the pastel sets and one of the Honolulu S sets as well. Half of them are the old codes, half of them are the new codes. So if you're following along to a color along, yeah, it's going to be half old and half new. I should have said too, just while I'm remembering, so as you know, because I cover color with mixed pencils, it does mean that there's a risk that you guys might not have some of the pencils because we don't all have the same sets, really. And I'm very aware of that, and I keep apologizing for it. I should probably stop apologizing, but I just feel really bad about it, but I'm like, I can't change it. This is just the way that I color. It's just is what it is. So I do list everything in the description as well as on the screen in my color alongs. So if you want to follow along, go to the description first, look at all the color list. Everything is sorted into brand and then by number on that list. If there's any, say for example, if I'm using like 5 Holbeins or whatever and you don't have them, you can jump on Google, look for a replacement or a dupe in your set, do it that way. Better yet, you could use Palette Kit, which is Karen from My Colourful Country Life. Palette Kit will actually solve it because you can look at the exact dupe for it. Like you can ask Google AI and stuff like that, or you could support like actual people and use Palette Kit. So it's up to you. But yes, I am very aware that me mixing my pencil brands isn't the best for everyone. But if I just color with one pencil brand, I feel like I'm trying to do something with like one hand tied behind my back, and I just don't enjoy it. So yeah, it's just how it is, unfortunately. Yeah, so back over here. So this is my folder for like completed PDFs and whatnot. All the pencil swatch charts, other mediums. So in there is like Neocolor 2 and things like that. I've got this spray bottle because sometimes you need to spray your watercolors before you use them. It's my Micador workable fixative. I spray every page with this. I should actually get a non-workable as well for the end, because I do use workable is good for like if you're doing a pastel background first and you want to work over the top. I should get a non-workable fixative as well for finalizing. Color Cube Volume 1. These drawers here are fantastic. These host all my Neocolor 2s and they're in color order as well. So I've got the pinks and purples. Also in the color order, they're sorted by color: yellow, reds and oranges, greens, browns, greys and whatnot, and blues and turquoises. And then the leftover drawers are just, it's my Pearl X pigments. A couple more in here too, and there are white out little things at the back. Washi tape. Erasers and washi tape. Washi tape. Do you think I've got enough washi tape? I don't think so. And like bulldog clips and various things and super glue for the pencils and whatnot. Here is just, use that for my Pearl X pigments and my watercolors. Use that for water. It's just an espresso cup. And that I use for my glitter if I need to pour it out, but I don't usually pour it out these days. In these drawers, they're just I just put like cases and stuff, and they're just a bit of nothing drawers really, because they're very deep and they're very long, and they're not really, you can't really get much in there. What have I got in there? Like baking paper and spare notebooks. It's all my old notebooks when I used to record everything, and a couple of like diamond painting bits. That's all my, like all the Mod Podge setting glue, which I don't use anymore. I'll show you the diamond painting stuff where that hangs in a sec. This one's just, I chuck my microphone in there, and that's the actual microphone thing where it sits. I've got my microphone on at the minute, but another one sits in there, and the receiver that connects to the phone sits in there. That's just a DJI one. I could probably actually, if you want me to make a video on my exact YouTube setup and my system for uploading and making videos and stuff, let me know. Maybe you might be interested in starting your own channel. Okay, let's move to this monstrosity. Is a very, very old set of drawers. This is actually from my husband's desk when he was a teenager, and even before that. We don't have the desk anymore, but we have the drawers for some reason. So I've just put an old, like big platter chopping board on the top. I like to just reuse what I have. Okay, so the first in here, I've got all my inks. So I've got the Distress Oxides and I've got the inks too. I like the bigger pads. They're just easier to use, and little finger daubers. These are all where I store all the sponges, and then the tools as well. They just all sit in there. I don't know if I'll really grow my collection of the Distress inks and oxides all that much. I might. I'm just not, it's just not a medium that I like use often enough to justify that. So, but I do use these for pastel and the inks too. So, oh, what else have we got in here? Pastel drawer. All my pan pastels sit in here. All my implements, my paper Titilians. Sorry for the crinkling. The palette. My soft pastel sticks, the Mungyo ones. And I've got, there's like makeup pads in the back. There's a kneadable eraser which sits in a stainless steel container. And yeah, just a whole lot of makeup pads, and like, that's out of focus, but I'll just pull them up for you because it's looking at the, yeah, just a whole bunch of stuff. Pastel drawer is pretty messy. This is my favorite drawer. This is the drawer that I look at most often. I'll try and pull it all the way out without it falling. This is all my glitter and my sprays and my Fancy Pants watercolor metallic stuff. So in this little section here, this is an old like T2 container. I'll put them all in. So these they're too tall and I can't shut the drawer, so they lay down. But we've got like the mica stains, which I only use sparingly because they're really great, but they're very thick and they bleed through and they splatter very splodgily. It's not a fine mist. What have we got? Glossy accents. don't use a lot. The Pearl X varnish, which I don't really like how the Pearl X's go with it. And I've got the Pearl X Brilliant Gold. Then I've got my Kindy Glitz. And then these ones, Shimmer Spray. I've actually got a couple of sparkles. Gold is in there. Sorry, that's going to focus on my hand. Sparkle, and underneath that, I've got my watercolors. JOURALSAY Shimmer Sprays in there. There's the Kuretake granulating ones. Grabby watercolor. CSY watercolor in there. Hand sharpeners at the back, and you can see at the back there my masking fluids at the back there, and then my what do you call this, the gum arabic, which that is excellent for the pearl pigments. And what else have we got in here? OMS, and the rest, all these tubes, they are glitter, so they're all my glitter bits and pieces. So them, jelly bean, pink, there's a whole lot, green. I just haven't used them yet. I've only had them for about a month. I've used the gold one a fair amount. This dragonfly one's cool. I've used that a fair amount too. That, there's more at the back, I won't pull it out. You get the gist. So that's the sparkle drawer. And then this bottom drawer is just storage for this, because I use these. Yeah, I use them a lot, so that's all the trays and stuff and bits and pieces. Okay, I've got some things over here. So this is an old makeup box that when I was in my I love wearing makeup phase, and now I'm in my get it off me, I hate it phase, and I don't wear it. So I've repurposed the box into, it's where all my stickers and all my pet tapes and all my bits and bobs live. So what do you call it? Notepads. A whole bunch. So a lot of my JOURALSAY bits and pieces live in here. And then these, which are, if I can just, these are like labels that you can put on key rings and stuff. I bought them because I was originally trying to figure out how to do color alongs without putting the text on the screen and things like that. But because the way that I used to edit used to take me ages to actually get all the text on the screen. But the way that I do it all now, it's really quick. So they're a bit obsolete, but I do use them. And then all my dowels for, so you stick those on the end of your Prismacolors, and then, you know, they're long enough. And then there's a diamond art dot tub stickers. And then there's all my other stickers, my other JOURALSAY stickers. And I've got a whole folder, which is where all the stickers sit. So yeah, nice. And then I've got some origami paper, which I make all the bookmarks and stuff. So that's that. That sits away pretty well. So yeah, it's a good spot for the pet tape and whatnot. So it's a little bit dusty. It's the only thing about these is, yeah, they get pretty dusty. So that's that. If I can close it. Ugh, thank you. Not quite, but anyway. Okay, it's a diamond art storage thing. So I've just got all my, I won't open it. It's just, oh no, maybe I will. I don't know. Actually remember what's in here. I think this is, I'm currently working on a project at the minute, and this is all the spare drills. Yeah, it's all the spare drills and bits. Let's not look at that. So it's a bit gross anyway, yeah. In here I have overflow acrylic markers, oil pastels. They're the Artix alcohol markers under there. These are the Ohuhu Color Lau, and then Simtup markers too. Again, with the markers, I would like to have them in these, but I'm just waiting for them to become a priority. They're not a priority at the moment because I don't use them a lot, so I'm just storing them like that for now. I don't have endless amounts of money to be spending on that. And like I said, I would like to focus all of that on pencils. Okay, so that is my little colouring section. So it's just a back corner of a room pretty much. Yeah, so I try and keep it as neat as possible. it can get messy really quick. Every few months I'll go through and just completely rearrange everything and make it super functional. I need to have everything out and visible and functional for me to be able to use it. So this is the back of the door, and here we have my diamond paintings, my diamond art paintings, so that I've completed, I think, in about a year. So this one's from Hobbycraft, I think. I didn't really like completing this one. The whole thing was just confetti, and yeah, I mean, I did it, but I didn't really enjoy it. I like the Diamond Art Club ones. That one's a Kaiser Craft one. That was the first one I did. That's circle drills. Not a huge fan of circle drills. I like square ones, which you can tell. This top one, that is Diamond Art Club. Love that one. That was fun. That is massive. That was like 90,000 drills or something. And I don't multi-place. I do them singularly. There's a piece that I'm currently working on, another one, that I've tried multi-placing and it's fine, but after a while it looks messy, so I've gone back to single placing. The one underneath that, and I can't really, I put Mod Podge on this, so it's a bit stiff. I do want to roll them all up eventually and have them in storage, but I can't with this one because I've Mod Podged it, so I don't know what I'm going to do. The one underneath that is 110,000. That is a whopper. I hand placed every one of those. Single placed, I should say. Yeah, so that is massive, but I love it. I love my diamond art painting. I just don't have enough time for it to do it all the time, but I love it. So that's 4 canvases there. I'm currently working on a 5th. This is the 5th one that I'm working on. Sorry, it's probably really dark where we're looking now because of the space. So this rolls out into a square. This one's really fun because there's so many like AB drills and things like that. They're really sparkly. I don't know if I can be able to see that, but yeah, it's really sparkly. So I use all the washi tape I use to like border it off. And then over here, I've just got, these are all the colors. There's 2 tiers of that. There's about 90. And then all the bits and pieces just kind of sit there. This is my coloring space. So as you can see, it's in my kitchen. I color there because it has the best light in the house, apart from that bedroom that we were just in, where all my colouring stuff sits. I like to colour here because when my husband is home, I like to spend time with him and I like to be like in the centre of the house. I don't necessarily want to be like locked in a back bedroom like I'm in a dungeon. Really simple setup. I have a light, a ring light, and then I have another one. This blue one sits on the other side to offset that because there can be a bit of a dark shadow there, so that offsets that. And then this black thing here is my camera rig. So this goes up and down, just adjust it. I did originally I used to have a big DSLR camera that I sat on there with all these bits and bobs, and it was actually just so much easier to film on my phone, so I just stick my phone in it now. That goes up and down. This is what I'm currently filming at the minute. This is in Nightfall by Maria Trolle, so sneak peek. And I've got 2 trays, one tray at the top, one tray over here. I start with all my pencils in the top tray, and then as I use them, they go into this tray. So I know what I've used. For example, when I was doing all my dark colors, I thought I was going to use these 2 here, and I haven't used them. So this is a really great way to know what I have used and what I haven't used, and I can just simply pop them back because I pick out all my colors first and then work my way through them. Whatever I don't use goes back, and then whatever is in this container is what goes on the list. So these are just the old polychromos, like inserts in the tin, and they work really well. So I've got a really good system. And then if I was coloring this page, this would sit over on the right. It's just, I have limited space. It's sharpener there. Literally just have a few bits and bobs there, tools that I use, and a plant. So nothing too exciting, and I have just my dial 133 for my small pencils because small pencils will not fit in that. It'll just spit it back out. So yes, that is a little bit. I just color at my kitchen bench. That's all I need. That's 100% all I need. I don't need anything more complicated than that. If it's any more complicated, I'll just get stressed and I won't do it. So simple, yeah, simple. Again, I will do, if you like, let me know in the comments below. If you want me to do a full, this is how I YouTube video, I can make one for you. Just like I'm gonna do a this is how I choose colors for my coloring pages video. So yeah. So guys, that's everything I have to show you today. Oh my gosh, I've been thinking about what to say for like the last 2 months, and I hope I've covered everything that's in my head. If you have any questions about this whatsoever, let me know in the comments. You can even send me an email if you just have like a million questions and you don't want like everyone else to see it, or you can DM me on Instagram, whatever you like. Like I was saying, this is not static. This will change. This changes depending on how my methods change. So it is really something that you can just play around with. But yeah, so, and then excuse my dead plants. Oh, look at this. So nice plant. This one, dead. This plant was a huge peace lily, dead. Scale. Look at the scale on that. Iron. I know. So I hope today that I've been able to help you with some ideas for your mixed pencils. If you're wanting to give this a go, then you certainly can. Hopefully I've been able to clear some things up for you. Again, if you need any help, let me know. I can give you some ideas. But yeah, feel free just to get really creative with this. Let me know if you give this a go. Let me know if you love it. Also, let me know if you just store your pencils by pencil cases and that makes more sense to you in your brain, because a lot of people do it this way. A lot of people do it this way. In fact, I would say most colorists that I know do it this way. Well, the ones that are on YouTube anyway. So I think for me, sometimes I feel like I'm a little bit alone on my own island because I do a lot of things differently. I don't know if that's a good thing, but yeah. Anywho, so yes, guys, thank you so much for joining me today on our little tour. I hope you enjoyed it. A little bit of an insight into how I store things, my space and whatnot. So I will see you in the next video, which is most likely going to be that coloring page that we've been working on. Alrighty guys, see you later. Bye-bye.